Howdy-hoo, ladies and gents. Got a good one for you tonight. I know you guys like being watched 24/7, so every day millions of Americans get into their cars, back out of their driveway, and drive to work, to school, or maybe the grocery store, or a friend's house, and you move through the public roads and the public lands, and you assume that movement is largely private once you leave your property, okay? It's not like we think that somebody is following us around, right? But in thousands of communities across nearly every state, a small solar-powered camera mounted on a pole captures your vehicle as you pass, and it records the license plate. It also records the make, the model, the color, and any visible dents, roof racks, bumper stickers, and the exact time and the exact location that they seen the vehicle. And that data is then uploaded to a cloud system and remains searchable for a set period, typically around 30 days. And so this is the network that's built by Flock Safety. And today on Breaking the System, we examine how this technology works, how it's spread, what it claims to achieve, the documented concerns it has raised, and the responses that it has triggered. We'll look into the history, the engineering, the business model, and the legal arguments, and the real-world misuses and uses, right? And so, I'm very one-sided on this one, okay? But I want you to decide, just like everything else, all right? And we're going to talk about that as soon as we come back.
The curtains rise, the lights burn bright. You're blinded now, can't see the fight. Smoke and mirrors, they lead the way. Fooling hearts night after day. Welcome to the show, it's all pretend. The smiles, the lies, the perfect end.
So welcome back to another episode of Breaking the System. This is episode 77. The Panopticon of the corner inside Flock Safety. We have Apollo Drippy Dan with us here tonight. He's laying on the floor underneath me. He's sleeping. He's a tired doggy. He's a tired doggy. Okay. ALPR. What is that? We like our acronyms, right? ALPR. Automated License Plate Recognition. And it's not new. Early systems were very expensive, often mounted on police vehicles and very limited in scope. Footage or plate data was usually stored locally and required a manual retrieval of said data. And in 2017, Garrett Langley and co-founders in Atlantic founded Flock Safety after Langley experienced a property crime and learned how limited existing tools were for identifying vehicles involved. And the company focused on fixed solar-powered cameras that use cellular connectivity and cloud storage. And instead of large upfront hardware purchases, Flock offered, just like many other companies out there, a subscription model. Gotta have that subscription, right? And this costs roughly $2,500 to $3,500 per camera per year. And that covered the installation, the maintenance, the power, and the data access. Okay? And so Flock's cameras do more than read plates. Using computer vision, they extract what the company calls a vehicle fingerprint or a vehicle signature. We're talking about things like the make and the model and the color and the body type and any distinctive features such as dents, scratches, roof racks, bumper stickers, and or temporary tags. And this allows searches even when a plate is missing or covered or unreadable. And by mid to late of this year, independent mapping efforts and company statements placed the network in the range of roughly 80,000 or more than 120,000 cameras across thousands of communities and law enforcement agencies in nearly every and all state. And so the system processes billions of vehicle scans each month. Data is typically retained for about 30 days, subject to whatever the local policy is, and is accessible to authorized users through a searchable platform. Flock states its goal is to help eliminate crime and assist in investigations. Company materials and survey of customer agencies report that the technology has supported roughly 1 million investigations or cases in just this recent year, contributed to a notable share of cleared cases in participating jurisdictions, and helped locate thousands of missing persons. That's all amazing, right? All of that stuff is amazing, okay? Let's take a sidestep here for just a second, and let's look at their webpage. Okay, so this is their webpage, flocksafety.com. So let me drag me down a little bit here. So we have license plate readers, we have video cameras. These are typically the ones that are on the poles that have like the solar power. Audio detection, so they can detect what people are talking about, how a car sounds, blah, 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 right? Mobile security trailers. It also has the Flock platform, and now they have drones in first responders, okay? And so I thought the drones were really neat, because I'm going to take a side trip off onto these drones for just a second. There's a video. It's called Flock Alpha. And let's listen to Flock Alpha here. Let's go full screen here. So it can go 60 miles an hour. 4-mile radius is what it can scan for. It's crazy the technology that is in these things. Thermal imaging. Like I said, it can see things 2,000 meters away. It's pretty good. Got a rapid battery swap in and out. Of course, it's made in the USA, right? Okay. So that's the new drone that Flock is getting ready to pump out. Okay, pretty neat stuff, right? Like I'm a tech guy. I like my techie stuff. I'm pretty techie at times. Okay, it's all good until it's not, right? And so let's talk about how the AI works, the vehicle fingerprinting and the freeform. So the technical core is artificial intelligence applied to visual data. So AI is wrapped up into this as well. Okay, so when a vehicle passes, the system captures an image and runs it through the computer vision models. And these models identify the plate when readable and extract dozens of visual attributes. And the result is a structured record that can be queued for later on. And a key feature is Freeform, a natural language search tool, an an authorized user can type a plain language description rather than a plate number. Documented and demonstrated examples include things like, so if we were to use this system, a blue SUV with a racing stripe, so it would pull all the blue SUVs that have a racing stripe. A white F-150 with a ladder in the back, so this system is going to look for anything that's white, that is an F-150, and that has a ladder in the back. So AI is going to pull all of those things, right? It's going to pull all of those images that it has recorded, and it's going to send it to whoever's searching for those things. So on video-enabled cameras, such as the Condor line, Freeform can also search for people by observable clothing or accessories. Examples reported in use include man in a blue hoodie with a backpack, person wearing an orange vest and a construction hat, or a person on a skateboard. And Flock states that the system does not use facial recognition and does not identify individuals by name or biometric face data. Yet. Right? We know where this is going. Okay? We know where this is headed. We've all seen the movies, right? And you can't say that, oh, well, it's in the movie. It's fiction. It's fake. It's never going to happen. This is the stuff that we were talking about 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, Big Brother, right? This is exactly a scaled down, a watered down version of Big Brother. And as we just seen, they're updating the drones that they're getting, that they're producing, right? To where these drones can see at night. They can see further. They have 15 antenna. Like, the system itself, what Flock is doing is going to get more and more and more powerful as it goes along. And then we have to look at the definition that they're applying to these things. Okay? What constitutes as a crime? What constitutes as somebody using or having access to this system to search for whatever they're searching for, right? And so additional AI function include detection of plate swaps, the same plate appearing on different vehicles, multi-state movement patterns, and real-time alerts against hot lists such as stolen vehicles or Amber Alerts. And the system can integrate data from fixed cameras, video feeds, gunshot detection sensors, and in newer deployments, of course, we're talking about drones. And so these tools allow investigators to move from a partial witness description to candidate matches across a wide network or a wide demographic network in minutes rather than hours of manually sifting through the video. Oh, it's not this one, right? Manually, okay? So the computer is going to automatically do this for us. And so the same tools create a searchable record of vehicle movements within the retention window. And so what does this look like deployed? So Flock's early growth came through homeowners associations and private property owners. Sales teams offered cameras at neighborhood entrances as a way to deter porch piracy and vehicle break-ins paid for or paid through the HOA dues. And many of these private installations included software options that share data with local police departments. Municipal contracts soon followed, expanding the network onto public roads and intersections. And this creates a hybrid system. Some cameras sit on private property, others on public rights-of-way, and data can flow between private operators and government users under contractual agreements, right? Remember, this is a company, and everything runs through a contract. It's all contractual agreements, okay? That's very important moving forward. And so critics argue this arrangement raises Fourth Amendment questions. They point to the 2018 Supreme Court decision in Carpenter versus the United States, in which the court held that long-term location tracking via cell site data generally requires a warrant because it reveals the whole of an individual's physical movements. Opponents of the flock model say continuous automated collection of vehicle movements across a dense network produces a similar record that should therefore require individualized suspicion and judicial oversight before anyone searches this stuff. Okay. Supporters of the company respond that vehicles on public roads have a reduced expectation of privacy regarding their exterior appearance and license plates, that the data is limited in retention, that searches are logged and audited, and that the technology has produced concrete public safety results. They note that private parties can install cameras on their own property and they can share information, and that government use of that shared data is a separate policy choice made by public or local officials. And so both sides agree the technology is powerful, extremely powerful. Like, I don't think a lot of us are sitting back and we're not really thinking of the ramifications of just how powerful this stuff is. And not only just how powerful the stuff is, but who has access to this? When do they have access to it? It says a lot of this stuff is stored locally, and that the data is stored for around 30 days. So is it 20 days? Is it 30 days? Is it 40 days? Is it 60 days? I mean, that's all around 30 days, right? So what is the timeline when stuff gets deleted? Okay. And so both sides agree, whether they're for it or against it, that this technology, the whole spectrum of this stuff, is extremely powerful. They disagree on whether the current legal framework adequately governs it. Okay? And before we get into the documented uses, abuses, and responses, let's jump back in here to Flock. Let me get it pulled up here. Here we go. Okay, so this is called deflock.org. Okay, so this is a website. It's a bunch of people that got together and they said, we don't want flock around us. And so they have been going around to cities, to individuals, to communities, talking to people about flock, telling them exactly what flock is. Because remember, this company, what did this company do? How did this company get into, let's say, your town or your community? Well, first, they showed up to a board meeting, which you never showed up to, and they told the town about it, about how wonderful it is, and how it can help eliminate crime, how it can help catch those thieves, how it can help catch people before they get abducted and abused and raped and all of the bad stuff, right? But it didn't really talk about all of the surveillance that they're capturing, right? Because we never showed up to that board meeting, to that municipal meeting with the town, okay? And so the nice thing about DFlock is that we can go on their website, and right in the middle here, it has launched the map. And this is awesome. Okay. Everywhere there is a blue dot is a flock camera that this place, that these people have GPSed. Okay. So when they say that they have a network, they have a network. Now, I do realize, there's not very much in Nevada or Wyoming or, you get up by Canada. There's not a lot, but look at where all the blue is at. Look at where all the big cities are at, right? LA, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Denver, St. Louis, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, right? So you think that this stuff is only in the big cities. Well, you would be mistakenly wrong. Okay, let's zoom in. Okay, we're gonna come to Effingham, Illinois. Little town of Effingham. There's Springfield. There we go. We're getting closer. Okay. Look at all these, like Flora, Illinois, little tiny town, like middle of frickin' nowhere. Even Olney has 4 flock cameras. There's one between Olney and Lawrenceville, like out in the middle of the country. Like what? Like why? There's some on the outskirts of Newton. It's not even in town. It's on the outskirts. Like, we're going to film you coming in town, and then we're going to film you coming out of town, right? And then we get to Effingham, and Effingham has quite a few. Mostly on the outskirts of town, along the interstate, right? Why is there some out by the lake? Doesn't make any sense. But it kind of gives you the scope of just where these cameras are, how many cameras there are. And when you look at it like this, think of all of that data that this company is collecting on us, the collective, 24/7, 365. Okay? Now, it's awesome that it stops that bank robber, or it stops that person that got abducted, right? Or saved that person that got abducted. And so it helps catches the criminals. But what about you and I? Did you give them your permission to film you leaving your driveway, or to film you pulling into the local IGA or the local Walmart or whatever, right? No. Okay. Did you give them permission to film you on the way there and on the way back, and how fast you were going, and like it picks up your cell signal and it can let you know if like the cell phone like it was on your lap, or if you were using the phone, and then and in some cases it automatically generates a ticket, whether if you were driving the vehicle or not, and it sends the vehicle's owner a ticket. Okay. And so like I have a bunch of red flags that are just flashing off in my mind about this. Like I said, there are some good things that can come of this. But sit back and look and think about all of the ramifications, right, that could also become of this. We've talked about Big Brother for years and years and years. This is like Big Brother on steroids. I just don't know if I feel right that a company has all of this information, right? And so there's other stuff that you can look at, timelines, crazy, like where they're putting the flock in, when it was put in, when did that camera get activated, And so there's lots of information on this. I would urge you to do your own research, jump online, watch some more videos of people talking about flock. Go to your local municipality. Go to a local meeting. Ask them if they have flock. Talk to your local sheriff's office. Do they support flock? What do they use flock for? How long is the data stored? Who has access to the data? When is the data deleted? Right? All of those things are very, 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 very important when we're talking about this stuff. Okay? And the reason we have to ask those questions is the documented uses, abuses, and responses. So let's jump into this real quick. So on the public safety side, agencies report using the system to recover stolen vehicles, which is good. Locating missing people, which is amazing. Investigating serious crimes and respond more quickly to incidents only when a partial vehicle description is available. Right? And so don't get me wrong, because we all have cell phones, and so like they could FOIA that stuff and they could get that information from us. with a FOIA request. Do any of you guys have like a Ring doorbell or a Google doorbell? That also records you leaving your home, when you're coming home, what car you jumped in. If it records it, right, it's all going to be there. When you left, when you got home, what clothes you were wearing, who you were with, right? And so those companies also can have access to that material, to that data, through a FOIA request. That's not how Flock works. Because Flock works directly with local officials, all they have to do is have access to log into this system, and now they have all of that information directly at their fingertips. Okay? And so on the other side of the ledger, audit logs and investigations have documented cases in which officers, yes, officers, police officers, used the system for personal reasons, repeatedly querying the movements of romantic partners, former partners, family members, or acquaintances. And in one Colorado case, a sergeant used Flock data related to a woman's vehicle and then told her, captured on the doorbell video, quote unquote, "You can't catch a breath of fresh air in or out of that place without us knowing." That's pretty damn dangerous, right? Somebody in that position, of that magnitude, that has access to that information, that is threatening this person, we're going to watch you 24/7, right? And we're going to know when you leave and when you get home and what you're driving and what you're wearing and who you're with. And we're going to know everything about you. That's Big Brother. That's pretty damn scary. Okay? That guy should not be working for the police, right? That guy should be locked up, right? Do we agree? Do we disagree? Like, put those comments down. Like, what are your, with the limited knowledge or the vast knowledge, however much knowledge you have on Flock, right? Are you for this? Are you against this? Let's talk about this, because this needs to be talked about, okay? I'm not okay with people like this officer making a threat like that and saying that you're not going to know peace and that we're going to follow you around 24/7 and we're going to know exactly where you're going and what you're doing and who you're with, right? And so other multiple departments across different states have disciplined, fired, or charged officers after internal audits revealed non-law enforcement searches. So they have to do an audit to find out that these things are going on. What happens if they don't do an audit? Right? What happens if we don't do an audit? This kind of brings me back to like the 40s, 50s, and 60s when we've got like mob bosses and we got the police that were doing kind of like shady things under the radar, right? And don't get me wrong, like I back the blue, like I'm for police officers. I have lots of friends that are police officers. I used to train with a lot of police officers. I love the police. But people that have access to this type of material, that act like this, that do things in this manner, have no position. They don't have the position to be a police officer. They shouldn't be a police officer and work with the public, for the public, to get paid by the public in taxes to then turn around and attack the public like this, right? And so in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, when mob bosses were around, right, and the police would kind of do shady things under the radar until they started doing internal audits and revealed that some of the police were actually working for the mob, and that's why a lot of stuff was kind of flying under the radar, so to speak. So is this not kind of the same thing, just wrapped in a different package, put up in a different bow, right? And so public response has taken several forms, as it should. An open source project called dflock.me, that was the website that we just showed you, crowdsources the location of ALPR cameras, including Flock units, so residents can see where they're placed. I think it's important that we should know where we're being watched. And not only that, what are they using our tax money for? Okay? Your money that you gave the government is being used to survey you, to collect data on you, to watch and record you 24/7, 365, and a lot of you don't even know that it's freaking happening. Okay? And so this is what DFLOC does. Okay? They throw all this information out there so we can be more informed as consumers. Dozens of municipalities have declined to renew their contracts. They have paused deployments or deactivated cameras after local debate. So after local people have got involved and said, we don't want this crap in our neighborhood because of X, Y, and Z. In some places, cameras have been vandalized, spray painted, covered, or physically removed. There was a guy I was watching 2 weeks ago that he would record himself destroying a flock camera, and on top of the pole he would place an American flag. Freedom. If you're being watched and recorded 24/7, do you have freedom? And it's one of those things, it's a double-edged sword. We only have so much freedom, and we only have so much order within the chaos. And the more order that we have, the less chaos we get, which is great, but also the less freedom that you have as an American. How much freedom do you want to give up? How much information do you want to give the government on who you are and what you're doing and where you're going and when was it and when did you get back and what did you buy? Because that's happening. That's right around the corner. That's today. That's tomorrow. That's next week, right? That's last month. Okay? I've also heard of people saying, do not buy a green laser and do not point the green laser into the lens of the camera because it can destroy these $3,500 cameras that are very, very expensive, right? So we don't want to do that. Okay? So there's people that's out there that's urging people, don't do that. Don't go buy a green laser and don't point it at the flock camera because it will burn the camera up. Okay? So we don't want to do that because we're wasting taxpayer dollars. Right? And so these reflections or reactions reflect genuine disagreements about the trade-offs between investigative capabilities and the scale of local data collection. Okay? And so Flock Safety built a nationwide network of AI-powered cameras that turn everyday vehicle movement into searchable data. We also have to keep in mind what happens when AI gets faster and better and more powerful, and just, are we like talking about the Minority Report and the precogs? Like, are we getting to that era in society where our movies are becoming more and more and more reality, where the conspiracy theories, tinfoil hat, me included, are becoming more and more right on everything that we're talking about every day? Okay? Do we want those things to become mainstream? Are we okay with that? And so the company and many police agencies present it as a practical tool that helps solve crimes to find missing people. So remember in the beginning of this podcast when you didn't show up, and we talked about this, you didn't show up to the board meeting. You didn't show up to the civil town hall when they had the meeting and they were talking about things that they were going to spend the budget on, and they were going to put these cameras in and around the city, and they voted on it and they talked about it. But you weren't there. We weren't there. And that allowed this company to fill that void because we weren't there. And they filled the void and the cameras went up. And now we're being recorded by a company that works with the police and works with the government. And yes, they do and they can help solve crimes. And they do and they help find missing people. But civil liberty advocates and a growing number of local communities present it as a form of continuous surveillance that outpaces existing constitutional safeguards, right? This stuff is evolving so fast that constitutionally the courts can't keep up with what is legal and what is illegal. Because remember, everything is defined by a definition. And if the tools that they're using today is backed by a definition that's 10 years ago, well, think of all the ways that technology has changed in the last 10 years. Think of all the ways that technology has changed just in the last 5 years. That definition needs to change, and it can't without the court of law. And so constitutionally, those safeguards aren't there for us because how fast AI and technology is improving. That was Drippy Dan. He's having a dog mare. His little paws are like, mer, 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 mer. Yeah. And so both descriptions contain documented facts, and the technology works as advertised. It does for certain investigative purposes. It has also been misused by individuals with access. There's the human error that is involved, and anytime that humans are involved, we're going to have the human error because we're not perfect, right? We know that from Adam and Eve. We're not perfect. We were designed this way, okay? And so local governments continue to make different choices about whether and under what rules to participate. Remember, it's all about the definition of things. We have to be very, very careful about the definition of things and how we participate within the realm of said definition. And so the system is already operating at scale. We've seen it. I showed it to you. It's nationwide. It's almost in every county. It is in every state. It's in every major metropolitan area. It's already there. It's already there. It's already being implemented. And so the question is no longer whether the cameras exist. They do. It is how societies choose to govern powerful, persistent records of public movement. How do we use this stuff moving forward? Okay. So here's our critical thinking questions. If a technology can simultaneously increase the speed of legitimate investigations and create a detailed, searchable history of ordinary travel, what specific rules, technical, legal, or political, should determine when that history may be queried, so looked into, and by whom, who are we going to give access to, and under what oversight? What is the definition that wraps all of this up, that allows all of this stuff to exist out into the world? That's a big question. So sit back, put on your tinfoil hat, okay? Big Brother's out there. How much do you want him watching you? And yes, I realize that we're going to have some people, it's going to be like, whoa, they already watch us anyways because they have access to our doorbells. Yes, they do. Oh, they already have access to us because they can FOIA request our cell phones. Yes, they can, but that's a court of law. They have to FOIA that request, okay? But this is going above and beyond that. This is 24/7, 365. Are you okay with that stuff happening? Okay? And you're the only one that can answer those questions. You're the only one that can deep dive within yourself and say, yes, I feel comfortable with having the government or giving the government all this power to make sure that I'm safe. You have that power. You also have the power to be like, damn it, You're not going to watch me, and you're not going to record me, and you're not going to put the drones in the air, and you're not going to see what I've got on my farm or what is in my house or what car I'm driving. You have the power to stop that. We, the people, we get to decide these things. But we have to show up, we have to be present, and we have to critically think. And we have to talk about this stuff. We have to get along. Right wing, left wing, white, black, it doesn't matter. All of us, we have to get along as Americans, and we have to see what politicians are doing, what companies are doing right underneath our noses every single day. How are they building the system in and around us? And if we don't like it, how do we break that system? So, I'm your host. Thanks for watching Breaking the System. We appreciate it. Good night. God bless. And we'll catch you next time.
Yeah. It don't rot overnight, you know. It fades. Slow. Silent. Sweet.